Little girl's amazing faith in a stranger revealed an incredible transformation for her family. Lily stood at the threshold of her family's flower shop, a once vibrant sanctuary now shadowed by an air of despair. Rows of wilting flowers hung their heads, mirroring the heaviness on her heart. Her father's layoff had transformed this cherished place into a battleground of doubt, and the whispers from townsfolk felt like 1,000 tiny cuts, each one tinged with disbelief that such a beloved shop could falter. She took a deep breath, knowing every day she didn't do something, the chance of saving their legacy slipped further away. What could an 8-year-old possibly do? She had no business acumen, no knowledge of marketing or finances. Still, the small flicker of hope inside her refused to be snuffed out. As she wandered deeper into the forgotten aisles, the fragrance of the flowers fought to pierce through melancholia, urging her to act. She was drawn to the little things, the vibrant petals that awaited life. If only she could bring back the brightness, not just for her family, but for the community that had grown up alongside their presence. Then, from the corner of her eye, she spotted him. Tom, the handyman, stood hunched over a broken display case. There was a ruggedness to him, a life lived hard, yet something in his presence beckoned her closer. "Can you help me?" she asked, mustering more courage than she felt. The unyielding stares of her family's legacy weighed heavily on her. She needed allies, even if one was a stranger. Tom looked up, his eyes softening. With gentle hands, he finished the repairs and turned to face her, revealing a rare smile that squeezed warmth into the cold space. "It's just a flower shop," he muttered, but his tone hinted at something deeper. Lily's heart raced as recognition struck her. This grizzled man had a talent for flower arrangements that would astonish anyone. She could see it in his movements, the way he handled the fragile stems with care, formations unfolding like a tightly held secret ready to explode into beauty. What if they partnered? The idea sparked excitement and deep apprehension. The townspeople gossiped about Tom's troubled past, sowing seeds of doubt in her mind. Would she be rejected for bringing him into their world? Her father, usually filled with encouragement, had grown rigid as bills piled up and stress mounted. He might not understand her desire to reach out to Tom. Could she bear to face the disappointment if this idea fell through, a burden she hardly knew how to shoulder? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Yet, even amidst the emotional turbulence, a flicker of resilience ignited within her. She thought of all the neighbors who had scorned Tom without truly knowing him, and a wave of determination surged over her. This was no longer just about her family's flower shop. It was about shifting perceptions, transforming hearts. Yet, as Lily began to share Tom's kindness, the family of rabbits he rescued, the neighbor's fence he mended, doubt threatened to shatter her unwavering spirit. With every door she knocked on, the prying eyes of skepticism hardened around her. Each encounter tested not just her resolve to save the shop, but to save Tom from the shadows of his past. If she faltered, what would that mean for not just her family, but for him too? The stakes escalated. She could almost feel the rising tide of judgment gripping her. Then disaster struck. The windows cracked under a sudden storm, obliterating the fragile hope she had managed to build. As chaos erupted, Lily looked to Tom, a silent figure frozen in uncertainty. What had she started? In that moment of anguish, the weight of her dreams collided with the realities of prejudice and doubt, leaving her teetering on the edge of despair. The storm had only just begun, and so had her fight. Would she find the strength to navigate this tumult? Would her faith in a stranger shatter beneath the pressure? Or could it blossom into something extraordinary? The questions hung heavy as dark clouds loomed, a dreadful promise of what lay ahead. The sound of rain pelting against the roof mingled with the cracks of thunder outside, creating a deafening symphony of despair. Each drop felt like a reminder of the storm brewing not just outside, but within her mind. Lily stood in the shop, her small body slightly trembling, torn between fear and determination. Tom, his broad shoulders slightly slumped, stared through the rain-drenched windows as if searching for answers in the chaos beyond. The display cases, now tarnished by the storm's ferocity, mirrored her crumbling confidence. She could sense the impending judgment of townsfolk like a looming shadow, ready to engulf her plans before they even had a chance to grow. "Lily," Tom finally spoke, his voice deep but steady. "We can't just stand here. We need to do something." His words rang true, igniting a small spark within her. They needed a plan, a way to show both the town and her family that despair could be transformed into something beautiful. Could they arrange a special flower event, a transformation of the shop that would reflect new beginnings? Hope built spaces through the artistry of blossoms. The notion unfurled in her mind like the petals of a flower meeting dawn. "Let's make something beautiful," she whispered. It was a tentative thought, yet one filled with possibility. The once stale air was now infused with the fragrance of determination, and with Tom by her side, she felt buoyed by the promise of collaboration. Tom nodded slowly, the lines of worry across his forehead easing at the thought. It wouldn't be easy, and inevitably the town may still cast doubtful gazes, but together they could create a spectacle that would draw people in. But as those thoughts blossomed, doubt crept back in. What if it wasn't enough? What if the townspeople saw it merely a facade? Her heart sank. She needed to confront those fears, the very same emotions that had driven her to take a chance on Tom. "Let's talk to my dad," Lily suggested, attempting to bolster her resolve. At home, her father had cocooned himself in worry, stuck in a mindset of defeat. If they could show him the innovative possibilities that partnering with Tom represented, perhaps he would support their efforts. Tom's face reflected concern, though. What if he doesn't understand? She understood that the challenge was twofold, changing perceptions in her father while simultaneously wrestling with her own uncertainties. Would she have the voice needed to advocate for both herself and Tom? Her small stature felt as if it would shrink even more beneath the weight of her ambitions. They made their way home through the downpour, the murmur of rain like a drumbeat urging them forward. Each step felt monumental, as if they were traversing the threshold of an unknown future. In the warmth of the familiar kitchen, her father's usual routine of solitude and frowning concentration enveloped them like thick fog. His eyes lifted from paperwork when they entered, confusion surfacing on his features. "Lily, it's not a good time," he waved dismissively, but she felt the electricity of her mission propelling her. "Dad, please. Tom has some ideas. We could change the flower shop. We could show everyone we're still here. We can make it beautiful again." Her voice was a mixture of nervous energy and raw desperation. The tremor in her hands belied her bravery. Partnering with Tom? The skepticism in her father's voice sliced through her plea. His eyes flicked between her and Tom uncertainly, clearly wrestling with the prospect. "You know the stories, Lily. People don't change." The weight of his doubt settled heavily around her heart. Would she be strong enough to push back against his skepticism? Was Tom's past going to darken the very future she desperately sought to create? And yet, amongst the uncertainty, Lily felt a pulse of courage within her. She could reclaim her family's legacy, redefine her father's perspective, but it all hinged on a single moment of truth. The moment was poised on the brink, teetering between fear and hope. Could she use this confrontation to illuminate a path forward, not just for herself, but for Tom as well? Her breath caught in her throat, every fiber in her being compelled to take the leap. This was her moment, if she chose to seize it. Would she stand up for the unlikeliest of partnerships? or falter like the wilting flowers waiting for salvation? The answer awaited her, suspended in the tension of the moment, heavy with potential. The tension hung in the air, intermingling with the distant rumble of thunder as Lily readied herself to speak again. She could sense the flicker of disbelief in her father's eyes and the anxiety hidden in Tom's quiet demeanor. With each second ticking by, fear threatened to seep into her resolve, yet determination surged through her veins. This was her moment to redefine her narrative. "Dad, please," she repeated, her voice steadier this time, even as her heart raced. "Give us a chance. Tom understands flowers in a way I can't. He has ideas that could breathe new life into the shop. We can do this together." In her mind, she replayed visions of the shop transformed, blossoms bursting with color, laughter echoing through the aisles. She imagined her father stepping out from the shadow of disappointment, watching with pride as their flower shop became a beacon of hope. But every image of possibility was laced with the sting of her father's doubt, a reminder that the future she longed for was tethered to the courage to confront fear. Her father's brow furrowed as he looked first at Lily, then at Tom. The skepticism mingled with concern, and Lily felt as if she were standing on a precipice, ready to take a leap without knowing where she might land. Her father's silence was deafening, a world of worry wrapped in uncertainty. "We don't have to share our hopes with everyone right away," Tom chimed in softly, sensing the fragile atmosphere. "We can start small, as a team." His steady voice grounded her. The way he spoke showed not only his understanding of her desperation, but his willingness to shoulder some of her burdens. She felt a flicker of warmth toward him that ignited her conviction even further. It wasn't just about the flowers, it was about hope, about reclaiming their dreams. "Can't you see? We can't stay in this state of fear," Lily pressed, her voice capturing a fervent edge. "If we let that win, we'll lose everything we've ever worked for. We're not being ridiculous or naive, we're trying to adapt." There was a pause, a stillness filled with the breath between words. Would her father believe that to thrive, they needed to evolve? Finally, he shifted, his gaze softening slightly. What if it doesn't work? What if the townspeople don't support it? His questions were heavy, yet they held the glimmers of vulnerability, an opening. In this moment, Lily realized her father needed reassurance as much as she required his basic trust. Sometimes, things can feel empty and hopeless, but taking the risk might make us stronger. That's where beauty thrives, isn't it? Her father scrutinized her with cautious eyes, and in that moment, she found a simmering strength deep within herself, a silent shout for clarity. Fear had been a constant companion, but Lily felt the tide of conviction rise against it. In the silence that followed, she chose to step forward. "Let's take that leap then, together. Let's show everyone that flowers can bring life even in the darkest storms." The resolve in her voice struck a chord. It was as though she was speaking not just to him, but to herself as well. For the first time, she felt like she was not just fighting against doubt, but advocating for a possibility. As she locked eyes with Tom, she caught a spark that mirrored her own hope and belief. "Okay," her father said finally, the surrender in his tone palpable. "Let's see what you two can come up with." The acceptance washed over her like fresh rain, invigorating and sweet with the scent of promise. But even as the nod met acceptance, an edge of anxiety still flickered within her, whispering doubts about the future. As their plans unfurled and the challenges stretched out before her, Lily realized this was just the beginning. With every step she took, the shadows of fear could easily resurface, demanding her attention. What if this partnership would lead to greater pain than she could foresee? Yet deep in her, a quiet resilience began to grow. With Tom by her side, she could face whatever shape this new journey took. The next challenge loomed ahead, glaringly present, a meeting with the rest of the town, filled with whispers and judgment about what they would attempt. How would they react to their ambitions? Would they accept the new direction? There was no way to predict the outcome, but one thing was clear. As the blooms awaited the touch of sunlight, she would prepare herself for the confrontation of all confrontations, where her dreams and her partnership would be put to the ultimate test. Would they flourish, or would everything fall apart? The answer awaited her, veiled in uncertainty but bursting with potential. The morning sun poured through the dusty windows of the flower shop, casting a warm glow on the cramped space. Lily took a deep breath, allowing the vibrant colors of the blooms around her to infuse her with energy. Today was the day she would present their vision to the townspeople, and beneath that enthusiasm lay a tumultuous sea of anxiety. Every step felt heavy as she organized the various floral arrangements, her mind tirelessly racing through possible reactions. What if they dismiss this fresh approach? What if her father's reluctance resurfaced as criticism? She needed to solidify her confidence, both for herself and for Tom, who was a solid rock beside her, yet had his own worries etched across his face. "Lily," Tom's voice broke through, gentle but firm, forcing her to shift her focus. "I need you to breathe. You've got this." She smiled faintly, appreciating his belief, but the knot in her stomach was still tight. "What if they can't see the vision?" she whispered, more to herself than to him. "They will," he assured her, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. "You have a unique way with flowers. Just remember, every beautiful arrangement starts with a little chaos." The analogy struck a chord deep within her. Yes, chaos often led to beauty, just as their journey had begun in confusion and despair. She would harness that idea, transforming her trepidation into momentum. As they stood together, a plan began to solidify in her mind. Instead of merely presenting a list of new ideas, they would demonstrate their passion through a miniature display. Capturing the essence of what they envisioned, they could create a testament to their commitment, their drive. They wanted the community to feel the potential in their visions, not merely hear about it. Arranging an eclectic mix of colors and textures, Lily allowed herself to lose track of time, entranced by the blooms forming before her. With each flower she placed, she visualized the future they could foster, not just for the shop, but for the town itself. With fresh energy, she thought about hosting workshops that taught people not only how to arrange flowers, but celebrate creativity and togetherness. "Okay, let's get this ready," she said suddenly, the urgency rising within her. "We have to capture them." Tom nodded, his enthusiasm brightening the space. "What should we call this presentation?" "Let's call it Rebirth," Lily suggested, her eyes lighting up at the symbolism. "That's what we're striving for, new beginnings." They worked in harmony through the morning, laughter echoing in the hollow corners as they completed their project. By the time the townspeople began trickling in, the shop radiated a lively vibrancy, a stark contrast to Lily's earlier doubts. However, as the crowd gathered, apprehension resurfaced. Faces filled with skepticism met her hopeful gaze. Some murmured, others shifted, clearly unsure. It felt as if they were embarking upon a tightrope with uncertain footing. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward, her heart racing. "Thank you all for being here. Today, we want to share not just our ideas, but our passion for what flowers can represent. They signify love, joy, and even resilience." The words flowed from her, a plea mixed with conviction. She explained their vision, articulated in the essence of love for their craft and the community they cherished. The room was silent, tension hanging thick as each person processed the weight of her expression. However, glimmers of curious eyes began to emerge, an indication of interest, even if small. Perhaps the seeds of doubt were slowly being uprooted, much like the flowers she so adored. Then she felt something shift in the air as a familiar face emerged from the crowd. A local florist, known for her traditional styles, yet respected among the townspeople, stepped forward. "I'm intrigued," she said, her tone unexpectedly neutral. "But I'd like to see this concept in action. A workshop could be a great start, perhaps." The proposal hung there, the suggestion electrifying the room. The opportunity was unfolding as uncertainty yielded to curiosity. As the discussions continued, a rush of excitement bundled within Lily. This wasn't merely about the flowers, it was about growth, collaboration, and fostering a spirit of creative exploration. But as hope flourished, questions lingered. Would they be able to sustain this newfound interest? Could they transform curiosity into commitment? The answers were still obscured, cloaked in the haze of possibility. As the conversations flowed, Lily's mind whirred with ideas. Just when she thought they were carving a path toward success, a harsh truth settled in. She was aware of the challenges ahead. Would she keep delivering on their promise, or would the weight of expectation drag her down? Each step felt more precarious, and the stakes only grew as the words exchanged sparked with potential. There was excitement in the air, but just beneath it lay a current of dread waiting to surface. What lay ahead would require her to confront and harness her fears. What if the tides changed once more? How would she navigate the challenges that awaited, especially when the town's expectations loomed large? The stakes were never so real, and she could almost feel the overwhelming weight of possibility as she prepared for whatever came next. After the meeting, Lily's heart raced with a mixture of exhilaration and fear. She had felt the tide of interest shift, yet uncertainty clung to her like a shadow. In the days that followed, the flower shop buzzed with chatter about the upcoming workshop. A wave of anticipation washed over her, but so did the weight of expectation. The responses she had received echoed in her mind, spurring a flame of ambition, but also kindling a fierce anxiety. Every morning, she greeted the blooms with renewed determination, arranging them with the precision that she hoped would capture the soul of her presentation. With each passing day, she labored to develop the workshop's outline, crafting lessons that would ignite creativity among participants. While she dove into detailed notes and planning, nagging doubts wormed through her thoughts. What if they found her ideas naive? What if the participants stumbled over arrangements that felt foreign to them? Tom remained faithful, his steady presence anchoring her thoughts. "Lily, keep your focus on why you started this," he reminded her. "You know those flowers better than anyone." Yet his words could not fully assuage the skepticism lodged in her mind. As day one of the workshop approached, she became increasingly overwhelmed. On the surface, the shop seemed ready, aglow with the warmth of arranged petals and vibrant hues. But inside, she felt like a puppet, strings fraying under the pressure of publicly defining not just her vision, but her identity. The morning sun broke through the clouds, illuminating the space, and the scent of fresh blooms filled the air. As participants started arriving, her stomach twisted in knots. Each face was a reminder of what was at stake: acceptance, validation, and the ultimate test of her abilities. The first attendees shuffled in, young, mothers, curious teens, and even some elderly patrons. As they exchanged polite smiles, Lily warily scanned their expressions, searching for signs of enthusiasm or doubt. "Welcome, everyone," she called, masking her nervousness with a beam of optimism. "Today, we'll not only learn about floral arrangements, but also explore how flowers can reflect our emotions and connect us to one another." Gradually, she loosened her grip on the uncertainty, recognizing the familiar patterns of her elements. Two complementary colors against a contrasting backdrop, echoing the complexity of human connection. As Tom assisted her, she could feel the eagerness of the attendees, a warmth that steered her anxiety toward determination. Encouraged, she began demonstrating techniques, weaving stories of how certain blooms conveyed messages. Laughter erupted when she coaxed the gathered crowd into sharing their personal flower-related memories. The atmosphere shifted, gradually folding excitement into the spring air. Yet as the workshop unfolded, Lily discovered that adrenaline and nerves could ignite unexpected insights. When a teenager fumbled with her arrangement, frustration flashing across her face, Lily approached her. A moment of hesitation followed, but Lily decided to reveal her own vulnerability. "I'll be honest, my first attempts were chaotically awful," she shared, chuckling gently. The teenager's shoulders loosened, encouraging smiles breaking their tension. By embracing her imperfections, Lily had inadvertently fostered an inclusive environment, a revelation that deepened her understanding of connection through shared experiences. As she stepped back to observe the room, satisfaction washed over her. Participants began helping one another, exchanging tips, and the initial resistance diminished. Energy surged as they immersed themselves in creativity, and when the workshop closed, a sense of accomplishment enveloped the shop. Despite the success, lingering unease tugged at her conscience. She couldn't shake the feeling that the workshop merely scratched the surface. How could she continue to sustain this energy? How would they build upon it to keep the community engaged? As smiles accompanied satisfied chatter, Lily felt a familiar weight lift, but new questions slipped in. Would the initial joy translate into ongoing commitment? Her acceptance of vulnerability had served her well, but would she maintain that courage? While basking in the workshop's afterglow, the door swung open. A figure stepped in, a silhouette shrouded in shadows, holding a bouquet of unusual flowers. With a piercing glance, they approached. "I need to talk to you about expanding beyond what you've done today," the stranger said, the words hovering like a challenge. Lily's heart raced at the unexpected statement, a mixture of intrigue and apprehension cascading through her. What could it mean for her budding journey? Would she dare to follow this unfamiliar path? Caught off guard, Lily took a step back, her heart pounding with confusion. The bouquet the stranger held was striking, an unearthly assortment of textures and colors that drew her in yet felt foreign in a way she couldn't quite articulate. "I'm sorry, I didn't get your name," Lily managed, summoning her composure. "I'm Lily, the owner of the shop." "Evelyn," the stranger replied smoothly, her intensity softening into an inviting warmth. "I've watched the way you engaged your participants today. It was remarkable." Lily felt a flicker of pride but quickly tucked it away, apprehensive at the flutter of optimism the praise stirred within her. "Thank you. It was a learning experience for all of us," she said, nerves coiling tighter as each second passed. Evelyn stepped closer, her presence both comforting and imposing. "I've heard whispers about your workshop, and I think you're ready for more than just floral arrangements." "What do you mean?" The question felt simple, yet it held an undercurrent of dread. What if this was some type of trap designed to crush her burgeoning confidence? "Your passion, it shows. You have the potential to create experiences that resonate at a deeper level." Evelyn's gaze was unwavering, as if peering into the very depths of Lily's doubts. "I can help you connect with a broader audience, a community that yearns for it." Lily's thoughts raced. Community. The word echoed in her head, prompting recollections of her workshop and the conversations that had blossomed in its wake. "But how? I'm still figuring out what this means for me," she replied hesitantly. "Exactly," Evelyn encouraged, a hint of challenge creeping into her voice. "You're in that crucial stage of discovery. You've already shown a willingness to be vulnerable. Now it's about leveraging that to create something lasting. The flowers can be the medium, but it's your story that will captivate the hearts of many." The concept stirred something within Lily, a mixture of desire and fear. Could she really share more of herself? Would people find value in her experiences, or would they dismiss them as trivial? "What's your vision?" Evelyn asked, breaking through Lily's swirling thoughts. "Picture it. What does it look like?" Lily hesitated, everything fighting for dominance in her mind. But as she looked around at her shop, at the blooms that had become an extension of herself, clarity crept in. A space for not just learning about flowers, but for people to share their stories of joy, loss, connection, she murmured, the idea taking root. A place where they feel free to express their emotions through arrangements. Evelyn nodded, the spark of intrigue in her eyes brightening. Yes, that's the key. Bring your community closer through creativity and storytelling. The words rang with authority and possibility, infusing Lily with an adrenaline rush. But beneath that excitement bubbled anxiety. What if I fail? What if nobody shows interest? A familiar line of self-doubt whispered, pushing against the new contours of confidence she was carving. Evelyn leaned in, her demeanor shifting to that of a confidant. Failure is part of growth, Lily. Look back at your workshop, how it transformed into something beautiful despite your fears. You have the skills to create magic. The question is, will you embrace this new challenge? Lily felt a wave of determination break through her qualms. Could she really endeavor to navigate this unfamiliar territory, cultivating deeper connections through her art? The thought stirred a fire she had not anticipated, igniting a desire for more. "Okay," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "Let's explore this path." Evelyn's smile broadened, and for the first time, Lily sensed that this could be the catalyst for her transformation, a chance to expand her horizons and redefine her purpose. Now, however, the weight of impending decisions pressed upon her. As the ideas danced through her imagination, her thoughts shifted back to the initial fear of inadequacy. Would the upcoming opportunities truly resonate with her journey? Just then, Evelyn's gaze hardened. "Meet me tomorrow evening. We'll discuss how to create that space you envision. I have some connections that could propel us forward." With a nod, Lily watched her as she turned to leave, the door chiming softly behind her. A storm of possibilities danced in her mind. The excitement mingled with the haunting specter of doubt. Tomorrow promised a new leap of faith. Would she seize it, or would her courage falter at the threshold? The morning sun poured through the window of Lily's shop, casting warm, golden rays across the vibrant flowers that adorned her space. Yet the light felt overshadowed by the weight of her unresolved thoughts. She couldn't shake the sense of both anticipation and fear that thrummed in her chest. Today marked a pivotal junction in her journey, a moment where she would have to confront not just new prospects, but herself. Lily glanced at her reflection in the window, the woman staring back looking determined, yet uncertain. Was she truly ready to share her stories and delve deeper into the narratives of others? She shook her head, trying to clear the swirling doubts that threatened to pull her under. The notion that failure might come creeping in was paralyzing, forcing her to question every ounce of courage she had discovered. After a deep breath, Lily turned to her floral arrangements. Each one carried its own story of love, loss, and irreplaceable connections, things she desperately wanted people to experience. At that moment, an epiphany struck. She couldn't let fear dictate her choices. If she wanted others to share their narratives, she needed to be vulnerable first. Taking a notebook from the counter, Lily began to jot down her thoughts and the vision she had for her shop. It was more than a floral store. It could be a haven for heartfelt exchanges, creativity unleashed through the beauty of flowers. She imagined hosting workshops where participants could create arrangements based on their life experiences and emotions. What would it be like for someone to pour their heart into a vase, to weave their story through petals and stems? The excitement surged within her like an electric current. Not only could she share her own story, but she could help others tell theirs as well. Then doubts resurfaced. What if her concepts fell flat? What if people thought they were silly? Her self-assurance began to wither. As she paced the small shop, each flower became a reminder of both possibility and impermanence. The door chimed, breaking her introspection. Evelyn stepped inside, exuding an aura that filled the room with inspiration. "Good morning, Lily." "Morning," Lily replied, a mixture of enthusiasm and apprehension intertwined in her voice. Evelyn wasted no time. "Are you ready to dive in?" Lily nodded before her resolve cracked slightly. "I have ideas, but I also have fears. What if I can't deliver? What if no one wants to engage in this way? Evelyn studied her for a moment, and then her expression softened. Vulnerability welcomes connection, Lily. You're leaning on your fear instead of your experiences. You're not alone in this. Everyone carries their stories and longings. They just need a safe space to share them. That's what I want, Lily confessed, feeling the confidence spark anew. A safe space for storytelling through flowers. But how do I get there? Evelyn smiled knowingly. We'll build it together. Start small, perhaps an intimate gathering with a few friends or workshop alumni. It will allow you to set the tone, and from there we can broaden the reach. The plan started to solidify in Lily's mind, a slow, gradual unveiling of her ideas to the world. She felt courage budding as they discussed various ways to structure this initial gathering. Ideas flowed back and forth, painting a vivid picture of what could be. Still, the shadow of self-doubt lingered in the corners of her mind. I want to make sure I do this right, Lily said, hesitating. What if it doesn't turn out the way I hope? Expecting perfection is a trap, Evelyn admonished, her voice firm yet empathetic. The beauty lies in authenticity, not in the flawless execution. Let your imperfections shape you. Lily inhaled deeply, feeling the grounding effect of those words. Perhaps this journey was less about achieving a polished outcome and more about embracing feelings, sharing stories, and building relationships around the act of creation. Just as a newfound determination crystallized within her, a thought rushed in. If she were to be true to herself, she might need to confront aspects of her life she had kept tightly sealed. Were there stories she had yet to share, pain she had buried? As the day unfolded, Lily dedicated herself wholeheartedly to planning her first gathering. Ideas blossomed, each more enticing than the last. Yet, amidst the excitement, the question nagged at her, a reminder that she was not yet whole. Would dredging up her past provide clarity and strength, or shatter the fragile confidence she had started building? Tomorrow would be more than simply a gathering. It was going to be a significant step toward unraveling her fears and embracing the unfolding journey that lay ahead. Little did she know, the arrival of the first guest would challenge everything she believed about her capabilities and spark confrontations with her own untold stories. Would she rise to the occasion, or would she stand paralyzed, trapped by her own narrative? The next morning dawned with a sense of both trepidation and excitement swirling in Lily's gut. The air was crisp, laden with the fragrance of freshly cut flowers, which now seemed charged with the promise of transformation. She arrived at her shop long before the first guest was scheduled to arrive, needing the quiet to gather her thoughts. The arrangements she had meticulously crafted for her gathering filled the space, their vivid colors murmuring tales of love and grief. But this time they felt different, as if they were not just floral displays, but beacons calling out for connection and storytelling. Shaking off the remnants of self-doubt, she started to visualize her first workshop, her hands moving with purpose as she arranged each bouquet in a way that reflected the theme of stories intertwined. But soon the clock ticked, loudly, echoing her mounting anxiety. What if no one came? What would that mean? Her mind raced, spooling out various scenarios that could unfold, some of which were overwhelmingly bleak. Lily bit her lip, but steadied herself. There would always be uncertainties, but this was her moment to embrace them, to take the leap she'd long been putting off. As the appointed hour approached, Evelyn arrived, her presence a grounding force that soothed Lily's swirling thoughts. "You've got this," Evelyn said, picking up a small arrangement, her eyes gleaming with admiration. "There's something extraordinary about a space where hearts can unveil themselves." With a nod, Lily summoned the courage to express her vision. "I want to create an environment where we can openly share, through flowers, through words. Do you think it's enough? That it won't feel forced?" Evelyn touched her shoulder, the weight of encouragement palpable. "It's not about perfection, Lily. It's about presence. Just be your authentic self, and others will find the courage to do the same." The door chimed again, pulling Lily's focus. Lisa, an old friend who had suffered her own share of heartaches, stepped into the shop, a hesitant smile on her face. The sight of her brought an unexpected swell of relief. One friendly face could indeed open the gate to something larger. Gradually, more guests filtered in, initially awkward and tentative, exchanging nervous laughter. It was the kind of gathering that thrummed with unspoken fears, but also a flicker of possibility. The flowers stood decorated as witnesses to their unfolding narratives, their bright petals a stark contrast to the raw emotions seeping through the air. As Lily prepared to start, she looked out at the faces before her, each marked by a unique story. Would they truly open up? Would their vulnerability mirror her own? "Thank you," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "I want this to be a space where we can express emotions through our arrangements. Each flower holds a story, our stories, and I'm here to share mine with you." To her surprise, Lisa stepped forward. "I remember when we lost Mom. Every time I see flowers, it takes me back to that day." The room fell silent, all eyes turning toward her. She continued, her voice steadying. "It was the flowers at her funeral that reminded me of her spirit, and I never really shared how much that affected me." The energy shifted, an openness enveloped them. Others started to share their stories, pain, joy, mixed emotions unfurling alongside floral arrangements. Each connection felt like a thread weaving through the fabric of their shared human experience. Lily felt the enormity of the moment settling within her. This was what she had envisioned. Yet a shadow crept back into her consciousness, a whisper of doubt. Why was she not sharing her own story with the same fervor? Did she fear revealing the scars that had shaped her? She swallowed hard, wrestling with the impulse to pull back. As laughter mingled with tears, she knew something essential was simmering just beneath the surface of her consciousness. The culmination of this gathering could either catalyze her awakening or plunge her deeper into uncertainty. With their stories sparking new connections, the urgency to confront her past swelled in her chest. She felt the determination building, sensing a choice looming on the horizon. Would she finally step into her own narrative, or would she let this moment slip away like petals on the wind? Just as she pondered this, the door swung open once more. A stranger entered, unfamiliar yet impossibly intriguing. Their appearance sent a jolt through her as an unsettling realization surfaced. This encounter could unravel more than she was ready to face. The time had come to confront what lay hidden within her own heart. Lily's heart raced as the stranger crossed the threshold, their presence a jarring contrast to the warmth and familiarity that had begun to envelop the room. The unfamiliar face, framed by unruly hair and a slightly rumpled coat, carried an air of uncertainty that spilled into the atmosphere. They glanced around, as if searching for something, or someone among the gathered crowd. The murmur of voices tapered off, and all eyes shifted toward them, curiosity palpable. The energy in the room crackled with anticipation, and Lily felt a mix of fear and excitement surge within her. Who was this person? What story lay behind their eyes? It was like a mirror reflecting her own turmoil. As she wrestled with her vulnerability, she realized that this stranger had the power to unravel her carefully constructed facade. "Hi," the stranger said, their voice shaky yet firm. I'm not sure if I'm in the right place." They looked vulnerable, yet Lily felt an inexplicable warmth radiate from them, a warmth that carried the promise of freedom. It mirrored her own need to discover and share. "This is a space for sharing stories through flowers, emotions, and connections," Lily said, speaking to them directly, her voice steadying. "You're exactly where you need to be." The stranger took a deep breath, their posture shifting as they seemed to gather courage. "I lost someone recently, my sister. I thought flowers might help me feel closer to her, to remember." The confession hung in the air, threading a connection that wrapped around the group, compelling others to lean in. "But I don't really know how to express what I feel." Lily's heart ached for the stranger's pain. She felt an urgency swelling deeper in her chest, a longing to dive into their narrative, anchoring her own fears and doubts. "Flowers hold this remarkable ability to convey our deepest emotions," she began, guided by an instinct to share what had prevented her from opening up. They can embody grief, love, even anger. And by talking about it, by sharing our experiences, we can weave a tapestry of healing. She noticed the hesitant nods of agreement from her guests, their eyes shining with an understanding that transcended spoken words. For the first time, Lily felt as if she were standing on the precipice of her own narrative, a chance to step forward, not only to guide, but to illuminate a path through her shadows. As she began to craft an arrangement, piecing together petals of blue and white with trembling fingers, she spoke again, her voice finding its rhythm. "When we lost our grandmother, I had this beautiful bouquet from the funeral. It was stunning, but all I could think about was the finality of it. Sometimes I forget how those memories entwine with the flowers." The stranger watched her, their expressions softening as they recognized something familiar in her words. The shift in the tension was almost palpable, urging others to share their moments of loss and beauty. Just like a flower unfurling in spring, their stories blossomed in the sunlight of honesty. With each shared tale, the sense of unity grew stronger, but Lily was aware of the shadow still lingering in her heart. This was the moment she had sought, the time to reveal her depths, yet she hesitated, held back by the fear of what might come to light. But as she looked into the stranger's eyes, she realized that vulnerability was not just a personal burden, it was a bridge. The stories they exchanged were not just hers to tell, but rather threads belonging to many, interwoven lives shaped by love and loss. Suddenly she grasped the profound truth. To truly connect, she had to lay bare her own experiences. Inhaling deeply, she felt the weight of the silence around her, a pressure forging determination as she prepared to unearth her guarded memories. Perhaps this was the moment she had been unknowingly waiting for, where the strands of her past could tie into the blooms of the present. Would she finally find the words to speak of her own alienation, her own grief? As tension coiled like a spring, a thought pierced her mind. The stranger's eyes held not just the pain of loss, but also the reflection of her own resilience. At that moment, she felt a shift deep within, a stirring call to confront her shadows. But before she could gather her bearings, the door swung open again, the soft light fading into darkness as another figure stepped inside, carrying with them an unexpected revelation that threatened to disrupt everything she was about to discover about herself. Lily stood at the center of her flower shop, surrounded by vibrant blooms and a gathering of people who were both familiar and new. With every shared story, she felt herself draw closer to the edge of her own narrative. The air was thick with emotion. The strength of shared vulnerability pushed her forward. Yet the door opened once more, an unexpected interruption that sent a ripple of energy through the room. As the newcomer stepped in, they seemed to radiate a quiet strength, their gaze sweeping across the gathered faces, finally settling on Lily. Their voice, a mix of wariness and authority, broke the silence. "Is this a safe space?" Lily's heart leaped. "Yes, absolutely. You're welcome here. We're sharing our stories through flowers." The newcomer, a tall figure with striking features, approached cautiously, glancing at the flowers with the same reverence she had come to appreciate. "I'm Omar," they said. "I lost my father last month. I've been haunted by everything left unsaid between us." The room shifted, all eyes focused on Omar, a profound stillness settling around them. Sharing vulnerability catalyzed something powerful. It opened the door for healing. Lily felt the weight of her own unspoken grief rising inside her, pushing against the barriers she had constructed around it. Taking a deep breath, she felt the shift in herself. Everyone was here, hearts on their sleeves, and they deserved to hear her truth as much as she needed to say it. "I lost my grandmother a few years ago," she began, her voice gaining strength. "When I think of flowers, I remember the bouquet we received at her funeral. Beautiful and vibrant, yet it carried the weight of her absence. I felt frozen, stuck between grief and wanting to hold on to the love she poured into life. As the words slipped out, she sensed the room tightening and loosening in tandem. The shared space became electric. Omar nodded, with understanding etched across their face. The others listened intently, many leaning closer, bound by the connection of experience and emotion. "I used to think I had to hide my grief," Lily continued, "that it was a weakness, something to bear alone. But standing here now, surrounded by you all, I realize that sharing these moments, both the painful and the beautiful, plant seeds of healing." Omar spoke next, their voice steadier. "I've felt so alone in my sorrow, like a ghost haunting my own life. But maybe I can find a way to create something from this pain. The flowers can be my way to keep his memory alive." "Yes," Lily exclaimed, excitement bubbling within her. "Every flower can become a testament to our stories. Let's create arrangements that reflect who we've lost and what they meant to us." The room erupted into a flurry of enthusiasm and ideas, participants rushing to share their thoughts. Perhaps they could each craft an arrangement that represented their loved ones, a kaleidoscope of emotions reflected in petals and foliage. And Lily, now filled with an unshakable sense of purpose, could guide them through the process. "Let's work together to create something beautiful," she said, her voice steady, brimming with newfound confidence. "A gathering of memories, love, and healing." As the participants turned to pick their flowers, Lily felt an awakening within herself. She was no longer the child hiding behind fears and doubts. She was a leader, a voice empowered by her ability to create connections. With every arrangement taking shape, stories flooded the space. Expressions of loss intertwined with joy, grief married with love. It felt cathartic, and the vibrant flowers became vessels for their shared humanity. Just like that, Lily realized they were all mirrors reflecting each other, inherently beautiful in their authenticity. Finally, as the last arrangement came together, a profound stillness fell upon the group. They stood together, surrounded by blooms and carried experiences, each person illuminating their own tapestry of resolution and growth. They were no longer pairings of unsure souls. Each had transformed through the act of sharing and embracing their vulnerability. Pride blossomed inside Lily. She had proven to herself not only her competence, but her unwavering ability to uplift others. The flower shop had morphed into a sanctuary, a haven where real stories thrived, and the bouquets of love and loss intertwined beautifully. In the days to come, whispers of their gathering would spread, transforming Lily's floral shop into a vibrant hub of healing and creativity. The community would come closer, sharing stories and experiences that helped redefine their understanding of love and loss. From the girl who once doubted she could make a difference, Lily had risen, embracing her power and the possibility of connection. She had conquered her fears, cultivated recognition within herself and her community, and established her place as a facilitator of hope. Lily beamed as she surveyed the colorful arrangements in her shop, each one a testament to her journey, their fragrance a reminder. She had accomplished something profound, something lasting. And in that moment of reflection, she surrendered to the beauty of what they had built together. If you found inspiration in Lily's journey, you need to subscribe now to our channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. This is the moment to show your support. Your engagement fuels these narratives of personal triumph. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, helping others discover these tales of transformation. And don't wait even one more second to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your voice matters. Comment below with your thoughts, reactions, and theories about Lily's journey. Together, let's keep the conversation alive.